some questions in chat already.
Oh, go ahead. Let's
Um,
go over those questions.
Spider Wolf said, I saw on the Progressive Martial Artist Twitter page and saw he had retweeted something about abolishing the police. Why do you believe in abolishing the police?
I've been working on police abolition groups for the last few weeks now. Actually, for the last few months, ever since the beginning of June, and I made a lot of videos discussing this issue. And when I talk about abolishing the police, defunding the police, I want people to really understand that I am coming at this from a moderate position. You guys understand that, right? So, if you look at police forces in other countries, are they armed like our police forces? Do they have people that show up with guns at mental health illness cases? Does that happen? No, we are. If you look at our situation compared to the rest of the world and what we did throughout the course of human history, we are far right as hell. Like we have a fascist military police state that we live in. They pull you over, they check you for dime bags, they racially profile, they've been infiltrated by white supremacists. So I've been very open about my political standing. I'm a libertarian socialist. What that mean? That mean if you have government, you gotta have government that justifies itself. So, for example, I support Medicare for all because Medicare for all will not only save 68,000 lives per year, it will help boost wages, it help boost jobs, and it will save the average American family money. So how is that not a program that justifies itself? So that's why I advocate for it. So one thing they always attack me for when I talk about abolishing police and defund the police, they're like, well, how are you going to abolish the police and defund the police? What are you going to do with areas with high crime rates? Well, this answer is simple. We have giant police budgets and we got a high crime rate. So what did that tell you? That tell you that giant police budgets doesn't work. So that means your method is not justifying itself to me. So we need to find other ways to reduce the crime rate. And when we talk about defund the police, and we talking about reallocation of resources to communities, so we can have mental illness uh, help for people for families. You can have increased education for low income families. You can have healthcare access for those families, and you can have a situation where you can actually increase their uh, the quality of life. Because if you increase their quality of life, you can help reduce the crime rate by that very simple method. Because poverty breeds extremism. Studies constantly show this. You see this throughout the development of countries. When poverty goes down, the crime rate goes down. So that's how you address the crime rate, and you have a sense of community. If we have our own way to police our community, and I know my neighbor, I know what's going on there in their household. If we have mental illness specialists that checked up on these people instead of calling the cops like Walter Wallace Jr. Walter Wallace Jr. was having a mental health episode. You had cops that wasn't trained down there, and they killed that man. When you had the mom that was de-escalating the situation, the cops killed him. So the overall situation I'm getting to, because I don't want to rant too long, I'm gonna turn to my panel as well. Is how does having giant police budget justify itself? I don't see that happening. Everything I advocate for is justified on my end. Legalized marijuana is justified because look at the tax revenue you get out of states like Colorado. Look how much you can change the communities by having that. And for once again, I'm anti-authoritarian. So when I see the police doing things that they're doing right now, I'm fundamentally against it. I've been like I'm even against it from the very basics of what they do. Like for example, what they do all the time in my area, they're not fighting gangs. They pulling people over for speed tickets, and that's a regressive tax because they not pulling over. Like if you're a rich person, you pay a speed ticket. That's a very small percentage of your income. But I've been struggling. Now I got hit with a speeding ticket. That's $100 out of my bank account for what? What? How is that helping our society having this
Yeah,
regressive tax?
more like
And that's
400
what.
now too.
$100? Yeah, I was gonna say you're not in California. Clearly, that's like
Well, I was just
$400 out
throwing
here.
out a round number. Like it could be really high, especially
Yeah,
if you get hit in the
Yeah.
work area. I was just keeping it simple.
my parking
But
tickets are
my
a hundred
point is
bucks.
like
Yeah,
I've
our
been a
parking
struggling
tickets are
college
like
student.
65 plus. Our speeding tickets are $400 or $500.
So I call it regressive because who do you think that hurt the most? And who do you think they target the most with those kind of regressive taxes on the working class? Instead of having any tax on the working class, why don't you going after white collar criminals? Once again, you're not justifying yourself. So that's my stance on why I think we should defund police. That's just a very basic dive down I can give real quick because once again they literally made the street economy illegal. Like why? And this is why I support sex workers as well. Like why is that? Why is that illegal? Why is selling a dime bag illegal? Like who are you to tell me I can do it? See, once again, I'm a libertarian socialist. This is my mindset. I hate authority. I guess I always been that way. Like how you tell me what I can do? I'm fine, bro. I'm not a criminal. I might do a lot of drugs, but I'm not a criminal. Like how can you treat me
When
like a
I
criminal? That's my
when I think
mindset.
of it,
Go
I
ahead,
look at it
Jackie.
like this. Not to cut you off, but people
Sorry, I
a
was just
lot of
ranting.
times assume that the police are going to prevent crime. Police never ever prevent crime. Police come after the crime. So
Exactly.
when you try to say like, well, without police, we'll have crime. Police don't come until the crime. So that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
police
I
don't
mean,
prevent anything from happening. They show up after the fact.
That's
yep.
exactly what they do. 100%.
So it's not so
Well,
like the whole notion of like police preventing makes absolutely no sense to me.
And
So
let me
and
just tell you,
also
after the
they've been
fact,
oh go ahead, Pat.
I was just gonna say after the fact, 90% of the time they don't want to do shit. I mean,
Exactly.
you know, taking the racial issues off the table, which is the number one reason to, defund the police, in my opinion, but they're worthless. I mean, my experiences with cops, and I'm a classic white dude, is they don't help me
I had
either.
no idea.
You know, I'm white. Newsflash. But
What?
that's
but
an
like
important
That
point,
changed.
though. That's an
no, but
important point.
I witnessed a hit and run just in my alley right out here. Call the cops. There's a guy on the ground who's his girlfriend probably ran into him. I had to get an entire police force over here to get them to get this guy an ambulance.
Yep.
And I had video of the car driving away on my phone, and they refused to even look at it. They didn't want the evidence of the hit and run.
Yeah.
That's our police force.
And that's why that's a very important point that you brought up, Pat. Because I made a thread on Twitter that got a lot of responses. I was very happy with it because I was telling people to share their stories of incompetent police, and I share my story on there. I share it again. I remember one of the few times I had to call the police is when I was living in a sketchy area in Kansas City. I had an apartment with me and my boy, and there's people they had to been scouting my place out. That had to have been the case. 'Cause we was gone for 5 minutes. We just went to the gas station. I guess we was high. Probably got some snacks or some shit. I think my boy Jay jumped on. Nice. Um, and then we was gone for 5 minutes. And these people kicked in my door, stole my laptop and shit. And I was like, what? Like, there was like, and they tried to take my PlayStation too, but they couldn't because there's like a lot of cords I had. I had a nice little setup. But they like yanked everything out. But you can tell they wasn't, they knew they didn't have a lot of time. It was weird because we was only gone 5 minutes and they only took like the laptop and they took my friend's phone. And they left. And we called the cops like, because there are a lot of propaganda on TV. And even then, in my dumb live days, I fell for it too. Because you watch cops and you watch Law and Order or whatever, and they always got these fingerprints. You got these cops who desperately want to fix the scene of the crime and solve the crime, but that's not how they are in real life. Like they literally came up, they were like, "Well, tough shit. Sorry, man. Nothing we can do about that." I'm like, bro, I thought you were gonna have fingerprints. I thought you were gonna do an investigation, like pull their ID. I thought y'all gonna have detectives on the scene. Like, bro, that's a fucking $800
Yeah.
laptop that he stole or whatever. I'm not on the price of right. I don't know how much it costs, but it cost a shit ton to me, and I lost it. And that's just one story of cop and comedy. I made that thread, and it's constant of people just sharing the story. And my story is very very tame compared to a lot of the stories I was reading. I had to like kind of take a break from reading them because it was very depressing after a while. But and that's the point that I wanted to back up that Pat brought up because he said I'm just a white guy. And I'm like, yeah, this is a issue that the black community take at heart and take it seriously. But I believe in solidarity. And when I talk about the issue of police, I'm talking about it affects everybody from the working class because the police is a militia that serves the interests of the ruling class. So if you're not of
Yeah,
the ruling class, they're not going to serve your interests. They're going to go after you too. So yeah, it's a
they're here
community.
to raise money and protect capital.
Yep. So
Yep.
yeah,
That's it.
it negatively affected the black community, but it also affects you too, Pat. Also affects Savvy. It affects everyone. Like because they're gonna go after you if you go against their interests. Cause I know Savvy. I want to get her opinions on this too
With what? I
because
couldn't hear that part.
I want to talk to you about this too because you would know more than anyone because you was on. You do a lot of direct action. You have a lot of interaction with undercover cops undercover cops that are
yeah,
pedophiles as well. That I still give you a
yeah,
lot of props for catching that guy. So I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
you see the same stuff we talk about too in your life, just doing what you do.
yeah. There's been a lot. This summer really opened my eyes to just how depraved they are. Like, they really do not give a single shit about human life. They
Yep.
don't care
I
to
like
beat,
that.
hurt, shoot you, and they're open about it. That's kind of the worst part. And I had this moment the other night of just kind of being like, I went to this action, and one of the cops went up to one of the marshals, and they had bikes, and the bikes were like protecting the group of protesters, and they said, "Those bikes will do nothing against our cars. We're going to run you over." And we're
It was
just
so
a group
crazy.
of it's a group of college kids, and they're just, in riot gear threatening to kill us and run us all over. And, in the moment I say, okay, well, that's expected. That's just a cop being a cop. We expect them to be violent. We expect them. I've heard this over and over and over now. But it's not fine. It's not normal. It is
Yep.
wrong.
Very, very
And,
wrong.
but
It may
I
be
don't know.
wrong, but
I've
it's
just,
still normal.
You see
it
that
is
It's
normal.
not supposed to be normal.
And unfortunately, those are the kinds of stories and incidents that don't get reported. It's
Yep.
not news for something like that, but it happens every single day. Every single day, they're committing acts of violence against people that we just don't hear about. And
Yep, and you see how they get a little more complicated propaganda out there now. Because back in the day, it was very simple. It was like Law and Order, and they had their TV shows. But now I saw that video. I retweeted. I made a comment on it. Just roasting. Everyone was roasting it. Where they had those actor, the models, those 10 out of 10 cops. they try to bring the attractive ones out. They're trying to win our hearts over. And it was like, I
did
am
you?
not your enemy.
Oh my God!
you guys, I am not your enemy. Nah, sir, I don't believe you. I think you kind of look like my enemy right now, bro. So they constantly
Did
do
you
that kind of
see?
stuff.
Did you see the I believe it was in Philadelphia, the cop who was holding the baby,
Oh
and
yeah, I saw that one.
yeah, and that was fake. Yeah, now that's propaganda. I think
Yeah,
of how many people saw that picture and thought, oh God, those terrible rioters, they just left a baby walking on broken glass, and they never came back to see that was a lie. That was a
yeah.
complete lie. They ripped that woman out of her car, brutalized her, and then took the baby to take a picture with it.
That's why I have
Like,
that's why I have faith in
Wow.
our generation, because I was talking about that before, because the older generation, they'll just eat this shit up all day because now they got advanced social media campaigns. They'll show cops and they're like, "Oh, God bless you, you hero." Now our
yeah,
generation and Gen Z, we see this shit. We was like, "Get the fuck!" Like that video came out, we was like, "Get the fuck out of here." So it's like
yeah.
the one good thing we see, even though we still have a government that is pro cop, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I think their bullshit doesn't work on our generation no more. Like we can see through the propaganda so easily. Um, I want to get Jay Stocks on here. 'Cause I know you jumped in the chat. Jay, glad you joined us, Jay.
I'm
So
gonna actually go because I do have to get ready for
there we
an
go.
action tonight. But it was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Abby. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yeah, I'll talk
Have a
to you
good
Abby.
soon.
time.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. So cool. So
Wonderful.
Jay
Hi,
Printer
Jay.
just tagged in for her. That works perfectly for
Mhm.
me. Like I said, we just doing
Yeah.
a chill post selection. But anyway, but the original question, I don't know if you missed it, Jay, was why I support defund the police. I went on my long tangent on that. So, what's your thoughts on that issue in general? I'm gonna throw you on the spot. And do you support defund the police? And what do you think the future of policing should be?
Of course, I support defund the police. Like hell,
Yeah, hell yeah.
that's a no brainer. I mean,
I
for
thought
some,
so. I
I
didn't want
mean,
to
for
assume.
for for me to even hesitate with that is like, what the hell? Like, where have you been living? Like, dude, look,
I get my long
I
spill.
lived in some of the worst parts of Orlando, Florida, so I know how things are. In fact, yesterday, a block from me, there was this huge influx of Orange County sheriff just en masse sitting in the spot. I don't know if somebody got shot. I don't know if there was a robbery, something, but there were at least 10 squad cars sitting on a little parking lot all at one time.
Yeah.
Um,